Got any Hegdals in this association? I would submit that you do, by about 96%. Got any Hegdals in AFA and IAM and all the other groups that you've seen on these screens? You see, the point is, Doug Hegdal wasn't looking for a great kudo or accolade. No achievement medals given here. Just out there on the front line to serve. Well, we wondered for 6 years how we'd find out we were going home. Finally, they told us. We launched out of there on a big old Air Force C-141. What a lump in my throat. What a sight that was. Flag on the side of that airplane. Wow. First stop, Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines. I made a telephone call I've been wanting to make for 6 years to my wife, my high school sweetheart, back in Kansas. And she'd gone. So I called my dad and I said, Dad, what has happened to my wife? And he said, come on home, son, and we'll talk about that face to face. I said, now, Dad, it's going to take me 3 days to get back to Conus. Tell me now, will you, what has happened? My father could not do it. He passed the telephone to my mother. I'll never forget her words. She said, son, I'd give 10 years of my life if I didn't have to tell you this. But your wife filed for divorce 3 months ago. She's engaged to another man. I came back to the Kansas City area. You'd be interested in all the good advice I was getting. The legal beagles were saying, we're going to sue her and her boyfriend. We've got the papers all written out, which they did. Just sign right here. We're going to put them in jail. We're going to take them for all they're worth. That'll fix them. Psychiatrists and psychologists had some pretty good ideas, too. They were saying, Charlie, you've got to get angry about this. You've got to get mad. You've got to get all this stuff out of your system. After all, if anybody has the right to be bitter, you have the right to be bitter. Imagine that. Somebody telling me I have the right to be bitter. That's like me telling you, you have the right to have diarrhea. And I'm saying to myself, now wait a minute. I fully admit I am a Rip Van Winkle, awakened after 6 years. I really don't know exactly what's going on here. But I have been through 6 years of the University of Hanoi. And I got a degree in hard knocks, and if there's one single thing I validated in that communist prison camp, it's this. Coach Smith was right. He was right. It's my choice. Thank you very much. Oh, yes, I can choose to be bitter, and maybe that's the easiest choice. I can choose to sue everybody I can think of. I can choose to be really, really angry. I can choose to crawl over in the corner and atrophy and die. And I know I can do that. I have the capability. I've seen men do it. Oh, have another choice. Option number 2. Pick up the pieces of this great jigsaw puzzle, press on with my life with the confidence and the commitment that it's going to take, and live every day to the fullest, regardless of the price. And that's what I've done. And that's what the other guys have done, too. And you know who they are. You see them in the papers and you fly with them all the time. We had a reunion last August in Austin, Texas, of prisoners of war from Vietnam. There are only 592 of us. We have a U.S. Senator from Alabama, a U.S. Congressman from Arizona. We have state legislators all over the country. We have preachers and teachers and doctors and lawyers and professional pilots and public speakers, and the doctors tell us we're healthier today, mentally and physically, than the guys who didn't get shot down. Shoemaker, the guy on the end of the wire, he's a Navy admiral today on the West Coast. Doug Hegdal, the kid that fell off the ship, has a master's degree today, still teaching school. My ex-wife went ahead and married the fellow she was engaged to. I bounced around the country as a bachelor for a lot of years, ran into a gal from Memphis 3 years ago, married her, we became parents 18 months ago. What's the connection, gang? You'll never be prisoners of war. You'll never have to pace 3 steps one direction and then turn around and pace 3 steps the other. You'll never have to learn all those codes. But don't you see the similarity? each of us has a choice. We have the choice to stand up and be counted for what we think is right. We have the choice to give of ourselves and pack those parachutes. We have a choice to be a part of the team. Oh, speaking of the team, the two officers that came back with... Incidentally, Seaman Hegdel is our hero today. The two officers that came back and broke the code, they're not a part of our organization. In fact, we never even speak to them. Several fellows wanted to court-martial these guys, but we didn't really think that was quite appropriate. And yet, well, let me borrow a line from F. Lee Bailey, a page from his book, when he told you the other night, you get to be 60 years old and you look back on your life and you're not counting dollars and you're not counting flight time. You're counting the parachutes that you've packed. 6 years is a long time to pace 3 steps one direction and 3 steps the other, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone here. And yet I would tell you it's probably the most valuable 6 years of my life. Amazing what a little adversity can teach a person. And yet it gives a man a pause to think, how will I survive? What are the techniques of survival? What are the properties of a winner? Well, may I suggest to you that we will survive and we will win. And it won't be easy. No, there's no bed of roses here. We'll have some mountains to climb and some parachutes to pack. We'll have to tug on some wires along the way, and we'll have to apply the faith, the commitment, and the personal pride, and that's for sure. But we will win because we are family. Thank you.
Nobody fell asleep through that one, I can tell you. Thank you, Charlie Plumb, for that inspiring talk. And from what I've seen of the people of United over the past month or so, I'd say you were talking to the greatest gathering of parachute packers ever assembled under 10 roofs.